everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Clarepoint podcast with me, Randy Prizzle. How you guys all doing out there? Everything good, shway, crispy, irie? Let's get on to this episode of the Clarepoint podcast for this week. Episode 44. So, let's get straight on to the advice I got for you guys this week. Phone is already doing a mad one, so literally, it's not rolling with the times at this point. Literally, it's just leaving me rolling in the deep like the Adele song. We could have had it all, rolling in the deep. Alright, yeah, the voice just literally just went there. I'm not going to try and do that, otherwise I wouldn't be able to speak on this podcast anymore, and then people would just be laughing, you're an idiot. Your voice is mashed. And I'll be like, well, that was my own fault, to be honest. But but let's try and get on with this. But this phone is doing a mad one right now. All right, here we go. If it decides to load, it's loading. This is all going to stay in because accidents happen, but you learn from these accidents. You learn, you grow, it becomes better down the line. And also you improvise. This teaches you when it's live. You know how to improvise and keep going. So let's keep going and improvising. Boom. Boom, 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 selection. It but that bit the bit da. Boom, 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 selection. But that bit the bit da. Boom, 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 selection. Alright, here we go. Is it finally gonna load now? Alright. I've been secretly feeding my neighbor's cat for 8 months. And now it lives at my place. Well, that's probably a bit mad, to be honest. You know what I mean? That you're taking your neighbor's cat and you're feeding your neighbor's cat. I get to the point where you're feeding the cat and you're giving it food and all of that. I hear it. You know what I mean? You want to help the cat out, give the cat more dessert, more dinner, make the cat feel full. But also you're ruining that cat's appetite. Because when that cat eventually goes back home, that cat is not going to have an appetite to eat its owner's foods. It'll just be like, when it's passed it the food, it doesn't finish it. And then the owner will get very suspicious to go, what's going on here? I've given the cat the food that the cat wants, but the cat obviously isn't eating the food. But unless the cat is a fat cat. Now, if the cat's a fat cat, the cat will just chow down, then you've got no qualms there. But it does seem a bit mad that you're obviously giving the cat its desires and feeding this cat for a lengthy period of time. Now, the fact obviously you've let this cat move in to your place. If I'm the owner of that cat, I'm asking you where my cat is at. Do you know what I mean? You need to give me my cat back, because you shouldn't be taking my cat from me and then feeding my cat, luring it to your house and then giving it all its desires. Do you know what I mean? Because it shouldn't be desire. It shouldn't be that. It's not desire. It's not what you should be feeding that cat at that point in time. But if you're giving it little bits and there, say go back to your owner, fair enough. And then you're trying to keep the cat. That's a bit of a bad move, to be honest. That shows that you're a scummy neighbor. You're trying to steal something that's not your property. But anyways, that's my thoughts on that. Next one we move to. I secretly sleep in while my wife works on Saturday. Now listen, I hear it sometimes. You need to sleep in. But let's see what more this story is saying. My partner and I have an 8-month-old baby. She's up pretty early, usually around 6:30 a.m. And we've both just kind of accepted that it will never get to sleep in. We will never get to sleep in. However, my wife works Saturdays under the table at a market whilst she's on maternity leave and leaves around 7 a.m. I get up with the baby like usual, but when she leaves, I grab a pillow and blanket and get in the giant 6x6 playpen with my daughter. I put Mrs. Rachel on the TV and proceed to get cozy and pass the fuck out. I sleep for about an hour, sometimes like 90 minutes if my daughter stays happy with Mrs. Rachel. We normally only let her have 10 minutes a day of screen time. It's the coziest, best sleep of my week too. The feeling of being safe in the playpen with my daughter while she's fully occupied and content is amazing. With no judgment from my wife, I think my daughter loves it too. I grew up with Saturday morning cartoons and turned out mostly fine. I do think, listen, you've got to get in the rest when you need the rest. And listen, it's a smart idea, but at the same time, you could be rotting your child's brain early. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes you have to do what you have to do just to get that little extra zoozes in, because childs at those early ages can be a real handful. You need the time for yourself as well, for your mentality as well, to be able to deal when the child is screaming, fussing, or wanting to kick up a fuss, all of that. You have to be mentally ready sometimes. And if you're tired, you sometimes will forget to do things. You sometimes will forget to keep, everything in order that it probably needs to be. For that child's sake, you may forget diapers or nappies. You may forget certain things like formula to put in the milk or whatever. Those things may happen. So you probably need to be alert most of the times. I hear it, but at the same time, I'll just say put on a music video, a something, you know what I mean? But I hear it sometimes. You have to divert that child's attention just to get a little bit of Z's. So I'm here and all there for that one. My simple advice is sometimes just don't let your wife find out. Because if she finds out, you're in trouble. Do you know what I mean? So that's all I say on that one. And cool, that's my advice for this week. We're going to come on to now my man Sheku. See, hits with the catchphrase, what's the word? Big him up all time, every time. Let's get on to what's the word for this week. Reported by Shade Bar and a few other, platforms out there. 23-year-old woman locked up in Dubai for doing cocaine. 50 grams of cocaine. She's locked up in Dubai. Now, they're saying it could be a life sentence here. Now, that's the alleged stuff that's going on there. I personally think that the crime is a bit harsh. But you know what happens when you go into those countries. You know what I mean? Their laws are there for a reason. And they say you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. So she should have known better than to go to that country and be doing those illegal amounts of drugs. You know what I mean? Because those things obviously have now left her in a place where she's banged up abroad. Literally, like the program that used to come out. People used to remember that on the TV series. It used to come out. Don't know what channel. I think it used to be Sky One or one of them ones. But big up. All the channels are available and all of that. But yeah, I do think that she made a bad mistake, a stupid mistake. You know what I mean? I don't think that she deserves that amount of time, but I do think she deserves to be locked up, because you go to someone else's country, you should abide by their laws. You know what I mean? But there's some people out there that's doing a madness there too, that's not been arrested. Do you know what I mean? That's getting away with some sort of things. They're going around and they're doing all sorts of explicit stuff in hotels or anywhere else. But that's what you have to do sometimes. If you go into these places, it has to be secret. They cannot know what's going on. You know what I mean? No sniff, no nothing. You can't let anyone know what's going on. Because as soon as someone finds out, you're effed. You're fucked. You know what I mean? That's what I should have actually said, not be effed, because I said F still. But anyways, you know what I mean? So it's a learning lesson for her down the line. I do think the harsh penalty is very harsh for her to potentially get life in jail. I think some ways they would sort that out. I don't think she will get life, but I do think it was a very, very stupid mistake by her. To go and take cocaine in a place where you know their laws are very, very strict. I mean, you've already set yourself up for failure, haven't you? You set yourself up to be named, maimed, all of that, you know what I mean? So it's your own fault in general terms. I can't really feel bad for her, but at the same time, that sentence is a bit of a peak one still. You know what I mean? Cool. Right, well, we're going to move on now. But what do you guys think of that? What's the word for this week? And Randy's advice. Put your comments below on that one, or keep them to yourself. With that, we're going to move on now to talk some back chat London. Obviously, I used to watch that back in the days, so I know the controversy that's going on right now. The early days, first 2-3 seasons, man, used to watch that first one, second one, third one. I don't watch anymore, but obviously this person, Ginger Joy, has gone viral for his comments on black women. Now, what Ginger J said, if people have been living under a rock and don't know, he's basically was cussing black women, said that, he can't really control them, which is already a bit of a red flag, to be honest. He can't really control them and he can't really put them in their place. That's the reasons why he decides not to date them. And he also went as far as to cuss a woman out, telling her that she doesn't have her natural hair and take her hair off and stuff like that. That's a bit of a low blow move, to be honest there. But Ginger J's opinions doesn't really sit with me. I'm not really on that Ginger J train. I date any person. Doesn't matter you're black, white, you know what I mean? Black or white, the Michael Jackson and all that. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I do think that it was a very, very low comment by him to say those things. You know what I mean? I'm not with, as I said, his comments. I do feel like Ginger J's opinions are Ginger J's opinions. I didn't really know about this brother until he went viral for what he said. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't reflect my opinions. As I said, I date anyone. I fancy anybody. Doesn't matter, black, brown, white, whatever you are. You know what I mean? But to go as far as to tell a woman to take off her wig and that, it's a bit of a mad move, to be honest. Right in front of camera and that. It's like you're trying to expose and belittle and, you know what I mean, like put a black person down, put a black woman down. And listen, people say, well, you said some comments, didn't you, about shits and gigs? But shits and gigs is very different to what Ginger J's doing. Shits and gigs were coming from a place where they were very uncomfortable and kind of didn't want to really, you know, ruffle feathers and say something. And then they came out and said something. But I don't think it's down for, you know, shits and gigs to defend that sort of, you know, what went on. Because the thing is, people came at them for not speaking up or saying anything. And listen, as I said, the comments they probably did make was a bit of a low blow comment, but I don't think it deserved the backlash where people then were trying to cancel them, because it was not their saying. They said something, they were trying to have a little joke about it, and they kind of tried to move and divert their attentions away from them. But people came for them. With Ginger J's made it abundantly clear. I hate black. I don't want to date you because of this and this and this. He's actually naming, trying to, you know, as I said, throw them under the bus. He doesn't reflect my opinions at all. I do think he's very insecure in terms of where certain women have treated him wrong, and he obviously is projecting that onto all black women instead of just the ones that did him wrong. You know what I mean? So his opinion is his opinion, but that's not where I stand with that. So I just have to say, Ginger J, listen, you know, you're in pain and someone's hurt you really bad for you to be talking all that reckless talk on it. So I'm not down with that, and that's all. I've got 2 words for him: piss off. As simple as that. One's gonna say so. No one man to try and listen. Let's move on anyways. But that's my opinion on that. So he didn't really get into the depths and all of that. There's not really much to say, to be honest. I mean, some people just come and say things to themselves, and you just think, well, you just out yourself, didn't you, for what your opinion is. Like, listen, cool, you have an opinion where you want to date other people, that's fine. You know what I mean? You want to date other races, that's fine. But you shouldn't come out and bash someone just purely because they do this and they do that and you don't like this and that. It's a bit mad still, but that's my thoughts on that. Cool. What are you guys' thoughts on the back Chat London fiasco, all of that viral moment that went down? Ginger J's comments, you can put your comments below on that one. Keep to yourself. That, we're going to move on now, talk the WSL. So the Women's Super League has happened last week. We're going to come on to obviously the match predictions a bit later on, but obviously match day 1's results. Now Chelsea, I should do the voice actually, keep forgetting, but let's go. Women's Super League, match day 1. Chelsea 2, Man City 1. Arsenal 4, London City 1. Tottenham 1, West Ham 0. Man United 4, Leicester City 0. Liverpool 1, Everton 4. Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Aston Villa 0. All right, well, the Chelsea game, I saw parts of it, you know what I mean? They were all over Man City. I think first half, Man City couldn't really get into the game. It was weird for them. I think they hit the post a couple of times, didn't they? Bunny Shaw. But Chelsea were all over them. It was a dominant win for Chelsea, so they deserved their 2-1 win, to be honest. Even the own goal, you know, like there were threats there, and probably Bunny Shaw should have scored, but Chelsea really had it covered, to be honest, and they showed a dominant start, to be honest. The three-time 3 championships. They did the triple. My words are not coming out today. Headaches kicking in, I guess. But they did the treble last year, and obviously they started off in very good form to beat one of their rivals. But next game, Arsenal 4-1 against London City. I predicted 4-1. I got that right. Olivia Smith with an absolute banger. What a goal. Do you know what I mean? What a way to announce your arrival to the WSL scene. Your first start for Arsenal as well. First game as well. To do that, incredible stuff. You know what I mean? Incredible. Wicked. It's massive. Yeah, I can't do that probably. But yeah. But big up Olivia Smith. Big up Chloe Kelly as well, who scored as well on actual return full-time Arsenal debut. So well done to her as well. And Beth Mead setting up who was the striker again? Stenius, I believe it was. But yeah, big up to the women. They did amazing. 4-1 win at home. Tottenham 1-0 win against West Ham. Didn't really watch the game. I think saw a highlight of it. I think it was a penalty that was won by them. Their captain got the win with the penalty. I've forgotten the captain's name, but let's move on. Good win for Tottenham at home. Man United 4-1 win against Leicester. Dominant from them. You know what I mean? Ella Toon on the score sheet with I think Maynard scored 2 as well. So overall, good return for Man United. Absolutely dominant against Leicester City. Liverpool losing 4-1 at home to Everton. I think obviously they had a new signing, I believe Everton, and she scored 2 goals for them and 1 deflected goal. So great stuff. Everton beating their rivals as well, their local rivals at their ground, 4-1. Brighton Hove Albion 0, Aston Villa 0. Not much to say on that one. Yeah, let's keep it pushing. All right, so I'm going to predict the match day 2 of the WSL. So Friday, 2nd September, which is at 7:30, West Ham United versus Arsenal. This should probably be still a bit of a tricky one for Arsenal, but I still think they'll come through. I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna go 3-2 Arsenal for this one. Man City versus Brighton and Hove Albion. I think Man City will bounce back on this one. I'm gonna go for I see Adjuman scoring in this game for Brighton, so I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Man City win. Aston Villa versus Chelsea. 2-1 Chelsea. London City versus Man United. I'm going to go for a Man United win. But it should be a tough game. I think 2-1 Man United. Leicester City, Liverpool. I'd see a draw on this one, to be honest. So I'm going to go 1-1. Everton versus Tottenham. I'm going to go Everton on this one. 3-1 Everton. And that's it for my predictions of the WSL. What are you guys' predictions? You can put your comments below on that one. Keep them to yourself if you're interested in the WSL. Cool. Well, we're going to move forward now to talk, obviously, the Premier League Matchday 4. People say, well, there was International Week, Randy. We didn't cover the International. I don't care about International Week. I don't care. If there's nothing that's important, couldn't give a shit. So I just let generally just move on from that. It still is what it is. But let's go to the Premier League. You know what I mean? International Week for me, I don't know why they have these stupid breaks in between. If it's nothing major to play for, why do they have them? I guess it's great for the players when they get their caps and that. Oh, great, I got to play in an England match. That didn't mean nothing. Fantastic for them. But at the end of the day, it meant nothing. And it means nothing to me as well. So it is what it is. But let's go. Premier League. We come on to match day 4's predictions. So let's go. Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest which is on Saturday, 13th September, a 12:30 kickoff. Arsenal, I'm going for Arsenal to win this one. After that Liverpool result, we should bounce back and win this game. I see the football we're going to play is still going to be that's passive football. So I think we're going to rely on a corner or something, and then we're going to get a win somehow, get over the line. 2-1 Arsenal. Bournemouth, Brighton. This one is relatively tough to call, isn't it? Relatively tough, because Bournemouth been doing some things. Brighton started to pick up a bit of form. I'm going to go for a draw on this one. 1-1. Newcastle, Wolves. Newcastle obviously signed that new striker. I can't remember his name. They got from Stuttgart. So they're saying Wissa as well. I believe they did. So Wissa potentially should get a debut in this game. I do think Newcastle will win this game. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Newcastle win. Everton, Aston Villa. These teams both wishy-washy teams, man. Like Villa sometimes can get it right, can get it wrong. They've got a great team, but they just don't know how to get the job done sometimes. But I'm going to see a draw here, to be honest. So I'm going to go 1-1. Crystal Palace versus Sunderland. Sunderland look like they're trying to get started. Granit Xhaka in that midfield. Palace, I think they've got issues, to be honest. They've managed to obviously keep Mateta, but losing Eze could be problematic for them. I'm going to go for Sunderland winning this one. I think it's going to be another tight one. Probably a 2-1 Sunderland win. Fulham versus Leeds United. This can go either way. Again, Fulham, another wishy-washy team. Leeds will probably want to get themselves started. I'm going to go for a draw on this one. 1-1. West Ham United versus Tottenham. West Ham again, another one of them teams that are down at the foot of the table. I think Graham Potter needs a win here. I don't think he will get it, but I see a draw here as well. So I'm going to go for a 1-1. Brentford versus Chelsea. I'm going to go for Chelsea winning this one. 3-0 Chelsea. Yeah, I don't see Brentford maybe getting a goal, but I don't think they will score. 3-0 Chelsea. Burnley versus Liverpool. This one could be tricky for Liverpool still. Burnley would not roll over, but I still think Liverpool would just scrape through. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Liverpool win. Man City versus Man United. 4:30 kickoff. I'm going to go for game of the weekend, isn't it? United usually step up against these big teams. I'm going to go for a draw on this one. 1-1. And that's it, guys, for my predictions. What do you guys think? Premier League predictions. You can put your comments below on that one, or keep them to yourself. With that, we've come to the end of this episode of the podcast. Big up yourselves, guys. First time watchers, season watchers. You know what I mean? I know it's a bit all over the place, but this is what it is sometimes, you know. Headache starts setting, and the glasses kind of saved me, I'm not going to lie. Do you know what I mean? If the glasses wasn't on, man would have been stumbling everywhere. I'd have just been looking to the camera like, and you'd be like, yo, what are you doing, Randy? You're moving mad. But anyways, big up you guys. Thank you guys for your time. You know we usually do it when we finish. Peace, love, unity, have fun, and you're either all in or clear out.